Hello, Olin. How are you? I hope you are doing fine wherever you are. Okay. I think you are worried about the first question related to Timothy Company. Timothy Company. Okay, and I'm sure you are watching. I mean, you are seeing the question on the screen. Okay, forgive me if the question is not visible enough. But I think this is the question you are referring to. Okay, I am at a very noisy place, but I'll try to explain the nuances of this question so that you benefit and you are not left behind. Okay, so we've got Timothy Company. Timothy Company manufactures table tennis. Um, Table tennis tables. Okay, there is a game or a sport called table tennis. All right, so these guys they manufacture the tables for that game, okay, or for that sport. And this company has the following budgeted overheads for the next month. So we are seeing in the first column the department. So there are two departments. There is welding, there is assembly department. Then budgeted overheads in dollars. There is $6,000 that is for the welding and $8,000 for the assembly. The budgeted activity is 1,200 labor hours for welding and 1,000 labor hours for assembly. Selling and administrative overheads are 20% of production cost. Production of 250 tables type Mukwa 1 made as batch 32 incurred the following costs. Materials, the cost was $10,000. Labor, 100 hours welding shop at $7 per hour. 250 hours assembly shop at $10 per hour. Okay? The cost of hiring special X-ray equipment for testing the welds was $600. What is the cost per unit of batch 32? Okay, so one thing we need to understand here is to compute the overhead absorption rate which is applicable for each department. Okay, because each department has got its own level of activity. All right. We know that an overhead absorption rate is calculated as the budgeted cost, budgeted overhead, or budgeted cost divided by the budgeted activity or budgeted level of activity. So here we are given the budgeted cost, the budgeted overheads per each department and the budgeted activity of each department or per each department. So the overhead absorption rate for welding should be the budgeted overheads of 6,000 divided by the budgeted activity of 1,200 labor hours, as you can see there. And we have got $5 per hour per labor hour as the overhead absorption rate. This is a very important rate because when we then compute the product cost card, when we arrive at the overheads, we need to be led by the overhead absorption rate. The overhead absorption rate for the assembly, we do the same. The budgeted activity was the budgeted overhead was $8,000 and the budgeted activity was $1,000, as you can see on the screen there. Okay, sorry, I'm using my phone. So I'm just at the bar, and I'm just chilling. Tomorrow is Friday, so it's a pre-Friday evening. Okay, we are just chilling, just trying to find invigorate the energies to vibe with our social acquaintances. Okay, all right, much of the talking. Now we then have to produce what is called the product cost card. We just use the same principles. I'm sure you have been watching my videos on the product cost card where we elaborated on what this is all about, and I'm sure you are now aware of how that goes by. Alright, so we start with the direct costs, the direct materials, direct labor, and then any direct expense that could be there. And of course, in this one, there is a specialist equipment that is required, a special direct expense we need to incur of the X-ray. Okay, so we start with the direct materials. That's the standard. We start with the direct materials. When you deal with the direct materials, you then go to the direct labor and so forth. So the direct materials, we were told that these costs, they costed $10,000. As you can see there on the screen, the materials, $10,000. You must have an eagle eye. You must have eagle eyes. Eagle eyes. It scans very fast. It scans data very fast. When it wants, when an eagle, which could be soaring very high in the sky, where it will be scanning the environment down there to see where the chicks would be, so that it can dive down and catch them as fast as it can. So you need to have those prying and spying and scanning eyes. You must be quick at locating the essential data and use it at your own advantage. Okay, you mustn't take time to locate data. All right, so in this regard, in this case, we have seen the materials. Okay, we have seen the materials there. It's very clear on the screen. Sorry, what's happening there with my screen? I don't know now. Okay, so now let's move on. Let's move on to see what's going on. So we have done the first line, the direct materials. We have slotted the figures, and this one we have put it on the outer column. Why? Because it is a final figure. We have been given by the examiner that, come what may, in all these productions, all departments included, the material costs were in aggregate $10,000. So you need not to worry, just know where to put the figure. That one has been done for you by the examiner. Then direct labor. Now for the direct labor, we have been given the information on the costs per labor hour in each department, and this information has been given straight away by the examiner on the information relating to labor under materials. We were told that in the welding shop we consumed 100 hours at $7 per hour, and in the assembly shop we spent 250 hours at $10 per hour. Are we together, Olin? Thank you. Now, you then have to slot in. It's an issue of multiplication. So actually, in costing or in management accounting, the examiner is actually testing your intelligence to see how alert you are in terms of making sense out of data, making sense out of data. So 100 multiplied by 7, obviously that's $700. 250 multiplied by 10, that's 2,500. You sum up those figures and you arrive at 3,200 on the outer column, as you can see on the screen. And then you add the direct expense, as we have already elaborated on the X-ray, that it's a direct expense. It's different from direct materials or direct labor. It's actually an expense. It's a once-off thing per batch. So it's not treated as a material, it's more of a service. So this is why we are saying it is an expense, okay? More of a service that is given during the production time, okay? So that's a direct expense. It is directly related to the production. It is directly related to the production. It can be traced to the production of the items, okay? Then you total up the total of all direct costs. The total of all direct costs, I'm just giving you a tip. The total of all direct costs, that is direct materials, direct labor, direct expenses, the total is called prime cost. The total is called prime cost. This is going to come in your multiple choice examination, questions, where the examiner will be testing your understanding of costing theory. Okay, so the total of all direct costs is called prime cost. Prime cost. After arriving at the prime cost of 13,800, you then have to deal with indirect costs. Indirect costs, and these are called overheads. So the other term for overheads is indirect costs. Remember, we have been dealing with direct costs. Right now, we are now dealing with indirect costs. Are we together? These encompass or fixed costs and so forth. So the overheads, okay, the overheads, those indirect costs, they are also dealt with per department. And in computing overheads, we must make use of what is called the overhead absorption rate. Okay, we make use of the overhead absorption rate. Now, the overhead absorption rate for each of these departments has been calculated here on top there. We did the overhead absorption rate computations, and we determined that for the welding department it was $5 per hour, and for assembly it was $8 per hour. So we are going to use those ones, but we need to know now, because we are told that the overheads are going to be absorbed on an hour basis. Okay, the examiner could have might not have told you that overheads are going to be absorbed on the basis of labor hour, but using the information from the question, you can actually see that the overheads are being absorbed on the basis of labor hours. So you're going to use the labor hours which were used in each of the departments. So if you are dealing with the overheads related to the welding department, obviously you are going to use the 100 hours multiplied by the relevant overhead absorption rate of how much? Of $5 per hour, and you get $500. That's 100 multiplied by 5, that's $100, the product. And then the product of 250 multiplied by 8 is equal to $2,000, and I'm sure you now know where we took the 250 and the $8 there. That's 250 is the total number of hours in the assembly department as given in the question, multiplied by the overhead absorption rate of $8 that has been calculated above there, and you arrive at 2,000. You sum up those two figures and have to arrive at 2,500. Now, you then have, to add the 2,500 to the prime cost to arrive at the production cost. Okay, the production cost or total production cost. This is 16,300. Okay, 16,300. But because we want to determine the cost of producing the whole batch, which means we want information relating to the total cost, including the selling and distribution expenses. The total cost should then include the selling and administrative cost. And we've been told by the examiner that these are 20% of the production cost. Excuse me. Now, the the production cost is, we have determined it to be 16,300. So we add the 20% of that figure. So first of all, determine the 20% of 16,300, and this should be 3,260. Then you add that one to the 16,300, and you arrive at the total cost. The total cost of this product, the total cost of production. Okay, in this case, remember, we are saying we want to determine the ultimate cost, that is the production cost plus the selling and distribution, or the selling and administrative expenses. Okay, and we arrive at the total cost of 19,560. So the cost per unit should be the 19,560 divided by the total units produced. And in the question, we were told that we produced 250 tables of the type MA1. So that's the total cost divided by the number of units produced. We obtained the cost per table, that is $78.24. Are we together, my friend Olin? Okay, how's South Africa, my friend? I hope you are doing fine. That's a piece of information I wanted to share with you. Okay, because I found that question was troublesome. Okay, thank you so much. Until we meet again on the next session, may the good Lord continue to bless you forever and ever. Amen.